Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Millennials in Print podcast. This is, again, Alex Krupski, co-hosted with my guy here, Jake Hoffman. We have another very special guest today in Dareis French. He is from Best Graphics Group. I didn't know your exact title. I just saw sales and marketing, so I figured you could touch on that a little bit more. But we have him on the show today. It's going to be an awesome show. We haven't hosted in a while. You might see it looks a little bit new with our fancy TV and everything in the back.
Technology in print. Look out.
Really getting into the 21st century.
Yeah, it's not the pictures back there. No, right on.
Well, we might as well get right into it.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
I think it'd be interesting to hear a little bit more about your background for us and for our audience.
Absolutely.
Tell us where you've been, where you came from, how you got into print in the first place.
Yeah, and I think the crazy part about my journey is I should have probably started decades ago. Born and raised in Milwaukee, but, stepdad worked for Quad. Actually, have to look.
We forgive you.
Tell me about it, right?
I'm totally kidding.
I've been in so many picnics. People are like, are you the wrong printer? I'm like, no, I'm at the right one. But my stepdad's been in imaging at Quad for about 32, 35 years. So decades in there, and should have spent more time paying attention because as I kind of started life over again, moving back to Wisconsin from Atlanta, buddy who owns a print shop, hey, we got some space for you in hand bindery. Here's some cash while you look for something comparable to what you just left. And literally told him, hey, race my interviews, and he beat everyone. So got to start in shipping fulfillment in a print shop right up the block from y'all.
Nice.
I think 6 months after that, I got bumped up to the company's third biggest account, front to back sort of management. So really project managing the jobs, the print jobs, but the work was also stocked inventory, so I had to manage stock by myself. Nice. So literally we're talking about 4 in to sometimes 6 in the afternoon, 7 in the afternoon, just to make things work, So, but I became a statistic of the pandemic economically and got let go or laid off. Found another job in a print shop out in Waukesha. Was there as a hand bindery, fulfillment project manager. The roles were a whole lot different, so I kind of had to get used to that. But stay relevant in the industry. And then, AJ Braum with Best Graphics reached out to me for a job, actually. The brochures I bought y'all, he was like, hey, you want to run them over at, there we go. Want to run them over at where you're at now? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So he slowed the job down, and he goes, listen, I want to get you this work. I want to get you, some good credit with your owners, but we got to slow the job down. The main reason why we were doing it, we're not doing it anymore. It was for Print United. When it canceled, conference. When it canceled, he's like, we got to slow it down. So he goes, side burner that. You want a job? Whoa, dude, I'm at my desk, dude. You called me on my desk phone. Stick to yes, no answers. You want a job? And gave me the rundown. And I think maybe the following month, I did a reverse interview where they came in and say, if you like us, you have a spot.
That's awesome.
Absolutely, it was weird, especially all the interviews you go through, but to have a reverse one and go, I'll start in 2 weeks.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just hit the ground running. So, I built up a passion for print, having worked at the 2 shops that I worked at, and especially the roles that I had to take on. So it was a little bit of a bittersweet end to be no longer in print, no longer hands-on, but I'm still in the industry. We're all talking. We were all hanging out last week at PU40. And just staying around folks that keep us relevant, at least within the industry. So happy to still be around.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can you touch just a little bit on Best Graphics?
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
what specifically you guys kind of do? What's your kind of role within the industry?
Absolutely. Well, we're machine dealers.
Okay. So
with being at Arandell, with the exception of a press, as soon as you walk in the floor, we either sell it used or new.
Okay.
So anywhere between, now granted we do have a few presses that we list, but it's not our space. We'll be very upfront with customers. Listen,
sure,
this is out of bounds for us. We'll help you. We have a few listings. We have a 1 color, 2 color.
I'm sure people too that are gonna be in the press
avenue
more. So
And
it's the same thing that we do, right? Like people come to us and we're like, we know a guy.
Exactly.
Go talk to that guy.
That's not us. But we got a
We're not gonna do your high school calendars, but
exactly. We're able to. We do have a company. I think they are, and AJ's gonna kill me if I'm wrong, but I believe in Florida.
Okay.
But they are the press space.
So they're just complimentary.
Exactly. So, hey, listen, here's a customer that's coming your way. So, but outside of that, if we're in the press room, we are contracted and partners for North American Sales for Bush Manufacturing. So they sell pile turners there. So from the press room, that's where our biggest footprint would be. But then as soon as you move in the bindery, we're all over the place. We're, again, speaking directly with partnerships, we got Osako Saddle Stitchers that we're partnered with. We also have Horizon that we do a lot of let me go Roll'em. Roll'em we're partnered with rotary die cutters. We sell some new balm folders when it comes to that route. We're also direct partners with Edotech cutting systems. So, I mean, as soon as you start moving your way back.
So your cutters, folders,
die cutters, stitchers. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That kind of stuff.
So, give us a shout, and I mean, we'll walk you through, and if we have something to use, obviously, that'd be the first one to bat.
So, talk to me a little bit about 2021.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, that's where I kind of came in. And that was AJ Brahm's pitch to me. He was like, listen, we typically average 150 machines a year. Right now we're on pace to do more, and this was back in October 2021. So, I mean, you don't want to forecast too much in the future to show your hand, but, he's obviously we're on a pace to do a whole lot better. So, at the end of 2021, we finished with 206 machine sales over the 150, and that out of 206 machine sales, that's 177 transactions, so we're talking multiple machines per
in a transaction.
Exactly.
So you guys have been busy, just a little bit.
Real busy. And then Q4 is usually our busy time, so we stayed on track.
So can you talk a little bit? So obviously that's you're almost looking at a 30%, a little bit more than 30, a third of 33% growth. Are you seeing that in specific areas, or is it really like across the board?
Across the board.
Okay.
I mean, just because we're in so much space in regards to that. I mean, we are in commercial printing, like I said, with the machines with saddle stitching, perfect binders, but we're also in the packaging space. With corrugated die cutters, folder gluers. We're also working that area. So that's how we're staying on track with it. Is that if commercial print, and we're here now. Some shops are going under. Some shops
we're aware of it.
Not only going under, but then you have like with us, we're young cats trying to keep the progression going with print, but the old dogs are starting to tap out or literally start starting to go to the other side. So with that said, we're staying relevant with those folks, but then moving over to packaging and folks that have those. I mean, we're also in the kind of corrugated laminating mounting space as well with new equipment also.
I was going to ask, you don't have to share the secret sauce or anything, but who is the majority of your customer base, or is it really that diversified across the board? I got to imagine that packaging clients are just through the roof, right?
Yeah. And it is. It really, I mean, I hate to stay general with it. But again, right now I think I counted off to my mom the other day while I was at the office, somewhere around 20 to 30 jobs of projects that are specifically mine I'm working on. And they range from, sheeters, pile turners, saddle stitchers, perfect binders. It's all over the place. So, I mean, that's how we're able to keep moving forward. But if we have to hone in on something that keeps us, alive and credible, is going to be the commercial print.
Are you and again, this is kind of a question. So, like from a print buyer perspective, do you think it's because the equipment is up to date, meaning like your throughput's better, your output's better, or is it automation, or is it kind of both of those things coming together? Like, what are you thinking is seeing such an increase in like the buying behavior of the companies?
Well, specifically in regards to return customers, we kind of consider ourselves consultants as well.
Sure.
And especially me specifically having a niche of being on the floor for a lot of print arguments. You know what I'm saying?
No, we don't have that. There's always an argument.
Exactly.
It's always sales sells it, and then production's like, well, what did you sell?
Your CSRs are trying to pay the peacemaker. So. But that's we have to be consultants because, I mean, granted, it really depends on where the buyer's trying to go.
Sure.
If the buyer's like, listen, we have too much volume, I need to pick up the pace. I got the bodies.
Throughput.
Exactly. Give me something that's going to give us great output and give us good production. Okay, great. Then we have folks who are like, no, I need to finesse. I need to finesse this. Our turn times or lead times are like week and a half, so we have time to produce it.
Sure.
But we want to hone in on the embellishments. We want to hone in on the actual final piece, which then typically your customers are like, I don't care about your price tag. Just make sure it's going to look good at the end.
Yeah.
I think we hear more and more of that lately too.
Yeah.
And things move so fast. I think everybody needs to be a consultant today too.
Exactly.
You know, it's just so important because things are just changing like crazy.
Yeah. One of the things that I was going to ask about too, and we were kind of touching on it prior to us turning the camera and mics on, but you're really sort of involved on a global scale, right? So you're getting goods from and machines from all over the place and kind of repackaging them or selling them here and going there. I gotta imagine it's probably a difficult challenge, right? And with the supply chain the way it is and things like that, so. Are you just kind of always,
on the go?
Yeah.
And mine's always going, and my future fiance has been bugging me. She's like, why do you keep waking up at 3 in the morning? It's like, because London's texting me, and I got to get back to them. Germany's giving me a shout, and I got to say something because, the customer's on hot on something. So, yeah, sleeping has been a new venture at 36. Being 36 now, it's like, how do I manage sleep now? Not only that, but being in the office late at night because I got to get a hold of South Korea about something before they wake up and get into the office. So, but then and you throw in the logistics portions. There's a lot of similarities in the print sale,
for sure,
and the machine sale where there's a lot of moving unpaid, so to speak, work happening to get the job done. But when you factor in once you got that signature and the deal's made, how much more is going into it?
That's the easy part.
Exactly. And even then, it's like, geez. But, the best example I have is I sold a case maker, so the machines that make hardcover books or build the hardcover books for hardcover books. Sold it to some folks over in Pennsylvania. The machine's coming from Netherlands. We should be on the docks Monday, and we're still waiting for it to even hit the stateside.
Yikes.
So now it's got to get to their floor from wherever, I believe it's coming into New York. It's got to get their floor. The folks that we bought it from are actually going to do the install and training, so they got to come over from the Netherlands, get to there, get it up and commissioned, and then get them rocking and rolling. But, it's a headache. It's a nightmare. But, when you wake up and realize that it's making you so much more of a better life, it's like, I'm waking up at 3. I don't care, man.
Yeah.
This machine's paying for this and that. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you're still on the print side. You're just on the equipment side of things. My question is, how tuned in are you guys still staying to everything going on, kind of on our end of things on the print side with paper and postage? It's always postage, but especially the last 2 years, paper. I got to imagine you guys have to stay pretty tuned into all that.
We do. I do. I will say this for sure. We're just as dealers, we're kind of like, I don't want to say used car salesman because I don't want to give us a bad rep. Nonetheless, there are situations because we do have another guy that was kind of new on the team along with me recently, who's never been in print. He's been in a bunch of different sales roles, but he's never been in print. So he's been able to close deals and do them fine. So you have those buyers who are just like, listen, my folder's about to crap out. I see you have one listed. Get me the folder.
Right.
It's kind of like, we know what we want. We know what we need. We have the expertise. Get us the equipment. And then get out of the way.
And you need to know just enough to be dangerous.
Exactly.
Right? And not so much that you'd overload the information.
Exactly. But then you have a lot of the folks that, that are coming to my plate that do want that print background, that do want that print knowledge. Like, again, like one of the best phrases I use is, I've been on the floor and I've had those arguments. You're bleeding from the kidney right now. You're not going to stop bleeding because it's going to cost you money, but let's bleed you from, the wrist.
Yeah.
You can manage. It's less blood, and you're now getting an ROI on the machine you purchase, and also stopping those arguments. So
non-fatal.
Exactly. We'll bring you back to life. That's the idea.
No, and that's a good point, and it's something I've experienced for sure in the sales process, even on the print side. Right, you have people that are like, "This is exactly what I want." Just print it and get it out. And then there's some people that are like, well, what is the best? It's a there's two very different sales strategies for each.
Different than this?
There might be. We can't get it, but there might be.
What they're really asking for is, how can I get the most sales out of this? What do I need to do?
Oh yeah.
And you're just like, well, there's no magic formula, right? I mean,
here's a template.
yeah, right.
Start with there. So cool.
So going back a little bit, just because you've brought it up a few times,
Yep.
that you have that kind of production floor experience, we'll call it, to now like the office side.
Yep.
What was that transition like?
Honestly, I was already in the making. At the first shop that I worked at, before everything ended, I was in training for sales. So I was already in the office. I was already having those conversations. Then when I went to my new shop, granted, it was a hybrid role where if I have to be on the floor, I'll do floor work. But there was just so much office work that needed to be done. So really now it's putting into practice some of the things that I was doing in the print world in regards to closing sales and making deals and having the right conversations and being relevant. I mean, making sure that you're putting everything forward that shows the buyer, hey, you're with the right guy. I got blessed enough to be a part of now 3 companies in print that have been around for decades.
Yeah.
So it's I'm not selling you the product. The product has spoken for itself for the last 30, 40, 50 years. I'm selling you me.
Yeah.
I'm going to get it done for you. So come to me. We'll knock it out and make sure that you have the best service possible.
Well, I think it helped you, it sounds like, because you were already talking to those people, but now you're talking to those people with a different message, right?
Absolutely. And but it's good to keep the connections there, and there's some that I was able to go back to. And, I mean, obviously you get, especially with machine sales, well, not right now, but we're glad we know you're there, so you're the first stop,
Yeah.
So.
It's a long sales cycle, I'm assuming.
Some
of it
really
but it depends
on the
right?
dollar amount.
Yeah.
I mean, some of your sales cycles in the $50,000, $20,000 range. I mean, they can technically be quick, but then you also have some folks that are kind of have to answer the other folks. But then when you get into the 6 figures, I mean, they are long conversations. They're long discussions. There's pipelines you have to get through in the way. But just staying steady and come to find out, I feel like I'm being a pest sometimes just to make sure I'm staying in the person's ear, but it's working. You know, and so that's the way to do it. And again, with such large dollar amounts, we have to make sure that folks know we're still moving the gears for you.
Sure.
And that's how you know that you're not a used car salesman like you used earlier, because you are acknowledging that you're not trying to be a pest. A used car salesman would never acknowledge that.
Absolutely.
Sorry to all the used car salesmen out there.
Close.
One of the things that I was going to ask too is so are you structured in like a territory, or is it just kind of like, hey, a lead comes in and you're just going to get assigned
what's going on? Well, I mean, directly to answer right now, we have our website, bestgraphics.net. But then we also have a lead generated website.
Got
so as of right now, with me being 5 months in, so I guess, quote unquote, still in the training process.
Sure.
The lead generated websites is what me and my other coworker manage.
Yeah.
But we just have performance reviews. We just have folks kind of move around.
Sure.
So sky's the limit is what I'm told. And
yeah.
So putting
no,
in
I
hours,
just
it's like
I didn't know like kind of what we try to do is kind of regionally locate, just because then you start to get. And again, for us, like we have accounts, not on the global scale that you do, right? But it's kind of nice to have like a point person within the region, so that they can kind of, they know the area and, that kind of thing.
Well, and again, that was to me in my specific role, but the company as a whole, yes. Dan Brom, our president, has his region, AJ Brom.
Sure. So that makes sense.
We have those folks, but again, like I said, we have people that just left, so things are about to get shaken up. That was part of my performance review. Was like, hey man, I'm hungry for this. Let me close X amount of machines in X amount of states. I want this region. And they were like, go.
Right.
So
that's awesome.
So it's coming for me.
Good. So this is the Millennials in Print podcast, and I would say we talked about this in the pre-show too, where we haven't recorded one and hosted an episode lately because we've been on a few.
Dusting off the rust.
And yeah, exactly. And almost every single one of those interviews, podcasts, whatever that we did, they asked us how we market towards millennials, or what is our opinion on marketing towards millennials. So I imagine that most of your buyers are not millennials technically. Yeah. But if they are, give us your thoughts on what you think in terms of marketing millennials or selling to millennials, what it takes and what you're doing to fill your pipeline.
Yeah, definitely.
As a millennial.
Absolutely. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Most of our buyers are going to be the experienced guys in the game. The best part about selling to millennials, especially as a machine dealer, is you can now kind of take a step back and just be a person. You know, you don't have to have the buttoned up sort of, hey, I have to, follow these script points because I know I'm dealing with someone who has been in the game much longer. They have a different flow. If one of you guys called me and was like, hey, Dareis, listen, we need a pile turner. What can you do for us? I'm sure there's going to be a couple sensor beep beeps in there because we're getting, we're all buddies and we know how to talk to each other. So that's what I'm finding the easiest when I do have customers that are in our age bracket, is that it's a whole lot more relaxed sale. But speaking as someone again on that has been on that side, it's just as much as a battle for y'all to sell to millennials. So.
Right. Yeah, I think being more direct, honestly, is better ultimately, and investing the time, like you said, in a relationship, doing stuff like a podcast or reaching out on LinkedIn, not to directly sell something right away, but just say, hey, looking to make the connection, whatever it is. I think that's millennials value a relationship, but also being direct at the same time. Absolutely. What do you need from me?
Well, and I think, like it was awesome. So the printers under 40 thing, like to me, that's a super cool thing because you almost develop a relationship. But then people that have the solutions, right? So it's not like someone selling you a solution before they even know what you need.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So it's like, if I know that I need a piece of equipment, I'm like, just call you up, and it's like, I think that's kind of a cool thing in the industry. And I think it's unique. It's not as like formal at times, which is kind of cool. And I've seen that change in the 5 years that I've been at even Arandell, right? I mean, I remember the first time when I started, it was business every day.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like
suit and tie.
And it was like
I never would have made it.
I had right. And I had this meeting with the executives. I'm like, it's expensive out there. Like I don't have 5 dress shirts. Like there's no way. Like, so I mean, but it's cool to see that transformation starting to take hold, within the industry for sure.
A more like a casual, relaxed business atmosphere, and that's not taken away from you still getting things done. Yeah. But like maybe we can grab a drink and talk about stuff.
Well, and I think I think there's a big difference between like informal and formal process, but the quality of the process is still right. So like the due diligence, like all that stuff's gonna get dealt with. It just doesn't have to be in such a formalized way. You know what I mean?
Right.
Absolutely.
So. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's a fun new space, and I mean, with all 3 of us just kind of having our hands in it, we're also involved in how it molds. So,
for sure.
it's very exciting to see what path we are going to have in this industry.
Looking ahead to 2022, I know you talked about last year a little bit. What are you guys foreseeing or forecasting in your space? The rest of this year.
Well, obviously, when you have a VP who lights a fire on everyone's butt, 206 isn't good. So
206, your new number.
Yeah, we got a new floor and it's
306.
Right. 30%. Just keep running.
30%. Yeah,
keep
30%
running
growth every year.
And he'll crunch those numbers. Listen up, 30%. Let's go. But 2022 is already starting off on fire to allow us to know that the rest of the year is going to go great. We've already had a $2 million day.
Wow.
Oh, dang.
Holy cow.
One day we've already sold $2 million. And granted, big ticket items. I mean, that was literally 2 die cutters to 1 buyer.
Sure.
1 new, 1 used. And then a brand new, I think it was an 18 or 16 station perfect binder. Can't remember the buyers at, but that's how we were able to get to those points. But with that said, I mean, long as we're hitting our goals that we've made for ourselves, but then we're also being challenged by some of our manufacturers. Hey, you guys had this X amount of numbers in 2020, 2021. Can we challenge you to this? So
because they're trying to get
bigger footprint.
That makes sense.
We have one manufacturer is like, listen, we'll send you 15 of this unit.
Jeez.
Get them out the door. You guys sold 13 last year and you're already on the way up. So, but it's fun times because now absolutely has to make us get moving and start, getting out there and getting our names going. So the challenges are there, but I think we have a solid enough crew, and that includes our sales and our service staff, to not only hit it, but then support it.
Yeah. That's a big part of it.
Exactly. That's kind of like the back end question that is the deal breaker sometimes. So how are you guys supporting this?
Yeah.
Well, it's a brokered item. We're pulling off another seller's floor. Is as is where is no warranty. Okay, I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
it's dead silence and then gone. So, but how we support it is definitely one of our selling points. So, that's how we see it moving forward.
And so you were kind of mentioning earlier, like Q4 is kind of like when you typically is your kind of like busy season. So there is somewhat of a seasonality component to what you're doing. Are you just seeing that just kind of trend line continue starting into 2022?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Our service manager, Gary, goes, did we even leave December?
We know that too a little bit. Yeah.
Did you even leave?
Yes.
I mean, we're ordering parts like crazy because we're getting, we just got a new 54-inch Edeltech cutter in, used Edeltech cutter in. And I really wish I took pictures when we first got it because it was beat to hell. There was dust and stuff everywhere. Came back a week later and new paint, new parts, just a shiny new car. So we're having to do that with so much equipment because we're finding good pieces of used equipment out there, bringing it in.
And then you're refurbishing it basically.
We're refurbishing it. We're rebuilding it.
Nice.
I mean, it depends on the status of
obviously
how we get it.
The state of it.
Exactly.
Do you guys do that in-house mostly, or maybe you need to hire a few people outside, but mostly in-house?
Usually depending on the manufacturer. So like I was telling y'all when I walked in, we have 3 buyers, 2 machines right now. It's a hybrid they're hybrid shower tray forming machines. So McDonald's, Big Mac boxes, Chick-fil-A boxes. These are machines that form the actual shape. So we got 3 buyers for the 2 machines. I had to reschedule because one of them didn't start. And the guy's flying in from New Jersey to take a look at it. So we got him in, and luckily the guy knows so much about tray formers. He already got 2 on his floor, and he got to our office at 11. He didn't leave till 6 because he's helping us get it up and going and turning. Once we figured out how to get it running and under power and mechanically moving, it's like, all right, we need these parts, these parts, these parts, these parts. Get them ordered, get it rebuilt, get it out the door. So we're doing it in-house. But then there are some cases where we have to fly folks in to help out. We have a taping machine right now that wasn't doing the job the way we wanted it to and the customer we're selling it to. So we actually had to fly in before what's going on right now, a guy from Russia, to help us actually get it going to where it's hitting our customers' expectations. So we'll fly them in globally if we need to. We typically, and most of the times our partnership agreements, there may be a clause in there where it says, hey, you have to dedicate a staff member to be able to support this.
Sure.
And so we can go either way, but really it's dependent on schedule at the moment. And like I said, with Q4 bleeding into 2022, scheduling it's going to be a whole lot more cheaper to fly someone in than it is to spend time internally.
The time,
right?
Makes sense.
Well, honestly, and just being conscious of everybody's time, I think we kind of got all the questions answered that we had. Did you have any kind of final thoughts or anything that we might have missed that you wanted to touch on?
I mean, I think we hit most of everything, especially with Best just kind of flowing. We just want to get our names out there a little bit in a different avenue. I'm sure with all of us following LinkedIn and now, I typically try to have a lot of traffic on my posting. I've been doing a Tuesday new equipment advertisements, and then Thursday used. So obviously in 1 week, if there's folks who are scrolling through, they can get hit with both. Or at least let them know, like maybe I'm selling a used laminator, but you now see we have used equipment, but you need a used folder gluer. You're coming to us. So, obviously if folks are out there looking for specific machinery, find me on LinkedIn. Keep an eye on those postings. And then, just give us a call, see what we can do for you. I mean, if we got to get someone physically on your floor to help out, we'll get someone down there. And do what we can to make sure that you have the stop the bleeding somewhere, get it somewhere else.
Well, we'll be sure to tag your LinkedIn as well as Best Graphics website in there as well, so people can check it out. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
man.
absolutely. Thanks for letting me come on.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem.
All right, fellas.
That wraps up this episode. We will see you guys in the next one. Thanks again, Dareis, for joining.
Absolutely. Thank you.